How do you write text slates? All right. So you use the text slates to fill story gaps. What I mean is things that you cannot see or hear from sound bites. So if there's things that additional information you need to add to the story, you can use text slates to basically transition between soundbite to soundbite. The text that you want to show on video, it provides actual or factual information that's not seen or heard. It provides factual counterpoints or emphasis to source sound bites and video. It provides identification or descriptions that advance the story. Be as brief as possible. So for example, in this top text slate, the rent for this place is $267 per month. That is very short. And then there's another text slate. It's not a text slate, it's a graphic actually. Something that I want you to actually make when you hit, video 3 or 4. But here it's like a really simple graphic showing how big a cage home is. It's basically not even the size of a parking lot. So think about what kind of graphics or charts you want to use to illustrate your points. And then subtitle all non-English sound bites or anything that's difficult to hear or understand. It's really important that you literally subtitle everything. I know I can understand Cantonese, but since this is an English class, I'll need you to subtitle the Cantonese parts for other people that might not be able to understand it. How would you write this text slate? Almost 200 people were living in some 88,000 subdivided units last year, and a single bedroom could fit up to 30 homes, according to the Consensus and Statistics Department. If you were to rewrite this into a short text slate for video, how would you write it? I'm going to give you a few moments. So I want you to pause the video and actually think about how you're going to write this. So I will write it as 2 text slates. 1, almost 200,000 people lived in some 888,000 subdivided units last year. 1. 2, in some buildings, 30 of these homes are crammed into a single bedroom. And that's it. This is how you should break it up. Don't try to fit everything in one go. How should you write your script? When you plan your script, always pick out the best sound bites and images without repeating. Which part will you pick as your soundbite? So here is the whole soundbite. And because you can actually cover these cuts with B-roll, don't worry about cutting them up. My doctors found mold in my lungs and warned me that living in a cage home was hazardous to my health. I now need an oxygen mask to breathe, but I can't afford living in a proper apartment. I feel hopeless because I tried to change my situations for many years, but it's hard when I can't make enough money. I'm still waiting for public housing. I've been living this way for 40 years. Pick what you think are the best sound bites, the best lines from this. What would you pick? I'll let you take a look. This is what I would pick. I now need an oxygen mask to breathe. My first cut. And then this is the part where I actually will show that person like talking. I feel hopeless because I tried to change my situation for many years, but it's hard when I can't make enough money. I think that is enough because, my doctors found mold in my lungs and warned me that living in a cage home was hazardous to my health. We can do that through text slates. Obviously, she can't afford living in a proper apartment, so no point of saying that. And she basically repeats herself. So I took the better line. I feel hopeless because I tried to change my situation for many years, but it's hard when I can't make enough money. And I've been living this way for 40 years. It's something that you can just, write in the text slate because it just explains but doesn't show emotion. How do you format a script? So this is really important. Starting from next assignment on, I need a script from you. And I want to make sure you actually really understand how I format a script, and that's why I'm actually going to be grading how you format your script as part of VA2. Usually a script is divided into 2 columns. 2. You have on your left hand side the video portion, So you're supposed to write the visuals, the B-roll, all the graphic elements that you have. And normally you write, close up, CU, a medium shot, MS of this shot. And then on your right side is the audio. So that is where you put in, if you have a narration, you have narrations, your voiceovers, your sound bites, your text slates. I know text slates are not really an audio, but because they do give additional context to the story, I'm going to put it on the right hand side instead of the left hand side. So how do you start a script? Start the script with the most visual shots. And a big bonus is if there's nice ambient noise to go along with it. Start the video with a compelling character. And start the video with the sound up, so a natural sound of the action for a few seconds before you can hear the first sound bite. So you don't really have to show it right away. You don't have to show that sound bite right away. You can just let the image or the video breathe for a bit, a few seconds, just for the audience to figure out what they want, what they're watching, and then you can play the sound bite. So here's another class exercise. If your video is about a 6-year-old Instagram star, what should your first shot be? What's the best natural sound to show in the first few seconds of this video? I'll let you guys think about it for a few seconds, and then I'll show you this video from Vice.
インスタの写真を決めるときはたくさん撮ります。なんでこの写真が好きかっていうと、この写真に写ってる桜がとっても綺麗だからです。ゆかちゃんたちが写ってるからこの写真は好きです。インスタでフォロワーが増えると嬉しいです。
As you see, if she's an Instagram star, most important thing is to get her taking pictures with a cell phone, posting on Instagram, and then hearing the sound clicks, tick, click, click, click. And that's what she did. And that's the best way to show the story of an Instagram star. Now let's try the next one. If your video is about a Hong Kong textile vendor, what should your first shot be? And what's the best natural sound to show in the first few seconds of this video? So, a textile vendor. Think about it. I'll give you a few seconds to think.
I喺呢度做咗40年啦。以前喺深水埗嘅時間咧，又做咗20幾年，總共做咗60幾年啦。
Of course, the best video to show is of him cutting or sewing. So anything that shows him in his job and with lots of sound and as a close-up, that's exactly what you show. And then you hear his first soundbite again. So now, how would you begin the story? Here's a story about a comic exhibition at the U.S. Library of Congress. This is the original text. I want you to take 5 or 10 minutes. You can stop the video, but 5 or 10 minutes to really look at this is the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs of the copy text from a news package that from CCTV. And I want you to look at this, and I want you to figure out how would you start this video. I want you to format your script in the way that I showed you. So left to 2 columns, left side is video, right side is the audio or text slates. And as a text slate piece, write how you will start this video. So this is how I would do it. So here are my two sides, my 2 columns. My B-roll will be a pan of comic books on display of Wonder Woman, Spider-Man, and Superman or whatever. My first, then afterwards, after a few seconds of that, I will go, because there's not a lot of good sound, unfortunately, no good ambience. So my first text slate will go, U.S. Library of Congress is holding a comic exhibition displaying original artwork of famous superheroes. And now you get close-ups of the Superman comic book, a medium shot of a Spider-Man comic book, a close-up of a Wonder Woman comic book. Text 2. These comic books have become sources for big box office movies. Original comic editions can sell for millions of dollars. And now we see Sarah Duke going, it's interesting because these movies tell the story that was originally written down and hand drawn by people who are passionate about art form. And if anything, it's made people care more about the original art. So I couldn't use this right off the top because you don't really know what's going on. And therefore, I have to use a text slate to really explain this is what's going on. This is a comic exhibition at the U.S. Library of Congress. Then show Sarah's next SOT. How do you write a script with no voiceovers? So we tried to do it before with this specific intro. And basically, always show something for the first few seconds before you have text slates. This is so important. Do not just show. I do not want to see you just show a text slate the first second that the video starts. I want to actually see the B-roll, see what's going on before I read. Never start a script with just text slates unless it's absolutely necessary, like for the comic book one. Do try to use appropriate sound bites in the beginning. Hard news versus feature news. So you've learned this thing in your print writing class that for your hard news story, everything is written in an inverted pyramid. So you have your lead, and then your summary lead, and then as the details go down, it's like the lesser details, the background information. But for a feature and most video stories, they're more similar to like a movie plot. So it's not really a triangle, but it's more like a lineup. There's a climax, and then it goes down. So what I mean by this, first you have the beginning, so a character representing the conflict, so that's the beginning. And then you delve into the broader issues, so the facts and why is it important. Then you have an opposing character, so that's the middle part, basically saying, why this way doesn't work. And then you have the climax. The climax basically is their conflict together. And then you show it goes to the end, which is the solutions for conflict. So these are your experts, like, these are the experts to explain why this is the way it is. And then you move the story forward. So I want to show you an example of a video that I made back in 2014, actually, but is a video example that has sound bites, natural sounds, text slates, strong characters. And this video actually went on and won a SOPA because it was part of this really big interactive big project that I was part of with a great team. And the story was initially about a woman that was sexually assaulted by her employer, a domestic worker, and how she couldn't come forward, but eventually found the courage to come forward. And I did a video, not on this woman, but to compliment her, like to compliment the story. I talked about that these women, that these domestic workers aren't just maids, that they're somebody's mother, there's somebody's brother, and there's somebody's sister, and there's somebody's daughter, and they actually have hobbies and lives, and they have things that they do, and they have friends. So I wanted to give a story that gives a glimpse of these domestic workers' lives on their Sundays when they're not working. So I want you guys to take a look at that, to see how I use text slates, to see how I use my sound bites, to see how I use natural sound, and to just think about this, because for your VA3, that is your profile. And initially I had that as your VA2 assignment, but I realized it doesn't give you a lot of time because we have 2 weeks to find 2 characters. So I push it to VA as a VA3 assignment. I want you to profile an interesting character that has a major conflict. by interviewing 2 people that is newsworthy. So I want you to really think of something that isn't just a cookie cutter person to interview, and there's no conflict, and there is, almost like first world problems, right? I need you to give me something that people would care about. I want you to give me a story that people actually care about. I want you to use sound bites, text slates, subtitles, sequences, B-roll, and 2 animated elements. So later on in one of the classes, I will show you how to make very basic, simple graphics with Premiere Pro and Adobe After Effects. So that was kind of my goal of this class. But yes, there's no narration, no music. You must include a full script, again, so I can actually look through it. You have to at least film 2 characters. But because I know of the coronavirus is difficult to film people, 1 character has to be filmed on camera. Your second one can be a Skype interview, an audio interview, as long as you have a picture of that person. But you really need at least 1 camera. You need at least 1 character on camera, and you can film B-roll that person. The reason why I prefer you to have 2 characters on camera instead of just 1 is so you can have more B-roll to work with, to be honest. So afterwards, I want you to upload it on YouTube and post a link on Facebook with this caption: VA number 3, news package, first name, last name. And your deadline, because I pushed it as the next assignment, is March 28th at 10 a.m. Afterwards, please keep those files that you did, because I will later on ask you to make revisions on that assignment. So that is that. And I hope this was an interesting lecture for you, that you learn now how to produce a full story, the full process. And I'm giving you guys VA2 and VA3 at the same time, so it gives you some time to think of your VA3 story as you're working on VA2. So start researching, start making calls. I mean, right now, the big story is the coronavirus. Maybe you should do a story on the coronavirus. You can easily do a story about people working from home and how does that make them feel. You can easily do stories on like the cleaning ladies who don't have enough masks. Like, you can do so many stories right now because the coronavirus is the main story. And it's newsy, and people would talk about it, I think. Just remember, be safe, wash your hands, wear your mask, always just keep a distance, and I will see you next week. Bye.